They don't give a fuck about anything. As a matter of fact, they just want to castrate and trans all your kids, and then they can't have kids, and then they don't want you to have kids.
Well,
It's a
what
fucking
kills
death
me,
cult.
people don't understand. It is a death cult. People don't understand, and I've been saying this for years. What were they doing before they were pushing for the transgendering of young men? Because this is highly focused on men. It's not. There are women that are transgendering. I mean, just to look at Ellen Page, she went from being
Yeah,
this really cute girl to being Elliot Page, which she just looks odd. It's like I'm looking at something from the Uncanny Valley
right.
because my eyes understand it's a woman, my senses understand it's a woman, but I'm supposed to think it's a
Yeah,
anyways.
fucking weird. Super
So
weird.
they've been hyper focused on the transgendering and the gaying of men.
Well, I know where
Why
you're going
is
with this.
that?
Because they wanna stamp out toxic masculinity and make
That's
sure
right.
that men can't be men and men don't put up with the shit. So if every man is just sitting in the corner, cucked out of his mind, sucking
With
his
a
thumb,
dick cage on, yeah. It's
yeah,
like
then there's
gets
nobody to
it's
stop him.
well, what's crazy to me is like they realized when the whole toxic masculinity thing didn't work. They pushed that for like years, like toxic masculinity. They're like, well, so to avoid toxic masculinity, we'll just say that it's okay to start transgendering them at 3 or 4 years old.
Well, yeah.
They'll be so full of estrogen, there will be no possibility for them to be masculine. And that's a fucking fact, dude.
Well, you can see it happening.
Yeah. You can
You can
literally
see
follow it
it
on a
happen.
scale.
You can see it happening. I mean, I don't know, like, because I have kids, so I see, like, kids. I see other kids, not my
Right.
kids. I see other people's kids too now.
Right.
And I see
Keep talking. Excuse me for one second. Keep talking. I'm listening to you.
yeah, you see, like, in my neighborhood, there's a lot of kids in my neighborhood, and you start seeing, like, these teenage boys walking around. And we were all coming of age. We were all dangly, we we all had our weird shit growing up. I'm not sitting here trying to bag on the youth because that's not what this is about, but you see their mannerisms and the way they carry themselves and the things that they say, the body language, really just the body language and the way that they do things, and you could just see how like, so if you just took these kids and just transplanted them back to when we were teenagers, they would be considered, like, dorky or not, not part of the cool crowd, like D&D type kids, you know what I mean? Like, when they were making movies about kids, if you took these kids and just transplanted them into those movies, they would be like the movie Revenge of the Nerds, they would have been the nerds, you know what I mean? And these are just all the boys walking around, and they're just like there's just nothing manly about it. There's nothing like, and this isn't all of them, not all of them, not by a long shot. I mean, they're still, tough kids that are getting raised right and being, taught the way of being a
Right.
man. And the thing that you see that's the most common denominator in this thread, and it's a problem, big, big problem that's been going on in this country for a long time. No father.
Big time.
There's no dad around. The mom has been incentivized to get rid of the dad or just sleep with whoever and have a kid and not love the father and not have the father, no dad in the picture anyway, or at
Right.
least not a predominant member of his influence.
Right.
And when you see these kids walking around, like I said, I don't know what you heard and didn't, but
I
if you
heard
were to,
dangly.
yeah, gangly kids that are just their mannerisms are very feminine. They're just not very manly. And
Right.
if you were to take them, I was telling the viewers, like, if you were to take them and transport them to our time when we were teenagers, they would be like the nerdy kids. They'd be like
Yeah,
the
I heard that.
D&D kids. Like, yeah, it wouldn't be,
Revenge of the Nerds kids, I think is what
yeah,
you
the
said.
Revenge of the Nerds kids. And it's, and it's like you said, or like I said, the common thread is there's no father in the picture. They're being raised by women. And I don't care what anybody says. And you can call me a chauvinist or whatever, but the truth is a woman can't raise a man.
Not necessarily in a way that's without having some kind of thing for the boy to attach onto a male father figure.
Well, they need a male father figure that's a
Yeah.
positive one that's actually going to influence them to be a man.
Right. Right.
And without that influence, the women just can't do it. And again, before everyone gets crazy, I'm speaking in general. I am sure there are single mothers out there that have raised great men that have turned
Sure.
out to be great men, and it does happen. And nobody's saying that that's not the truth. But in general, majority from what I'm seeing and what seems to be happening is boys are just getting more and more feminine, more
Well,
whiny, weak, like just not tough. Like they're just not tough. Like they can't like take adversity. Like if the second, the soon as the slightest little inkling of like discomfort, and they just fold like a paper cup. You know what I mean?
right. What I would say to that is that I agree with you that a woman uh raising a boy to be a man is a very hard thing to do. So it is an exceptional to the rule. And I'm somebody that was raised by my mother, but I was fortunate. I had not only male figures in my life, but my grandfather was in the home and he was a very positive figure, her father. But what I would also say is if you look at generations, um, even our parents' generations and stuff like that, they were capable of raising boys way better than they are now. And part of that is that they weren't our parents weren't hamstrung by political correctness. We went out, we got bullied, we got in fights. We did all this. We ran around and played with sticks and hit each other. We jumped over freaking plywood with bikes that we should have never been jumping over. We hurt ourselves. And our parents didn't coddle us and be like, oh my God, little Ben's hurt. We have to get a band-aid. Should we take him to the hospital? Should we get
Right.
stitches? That wasn't it. And we weren't told that we were great all the time. And the things that we had to do, we had to earn. So that part of society helped raise us. And our parents weren't hamstrung by that ideology.
Oh, yeah.
And if
Like
you look at like the parents now today, they are hamstrung by that ideology. If you say to some of these, and you see them, if you run into some of these nouveau parents, and you say something like, "Oh Jesus Christ," there's a, these parents they're transitioning this poor 8-year-old. People that aren't even related to them, they turn around and they're, why would you say that? What's
that.
wrong with that?
That's why I feel like I'm on an island out here, man. As a parent, because
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Like
yeah,
with my kids, you get the verbal warning, then you get yelled at. Then I come physically make you stop doing what you're doing. And then if you're still giving me crap, then you're getting a spanking.
right,
And that's how this works in my house. And when people see me interact with my kids, like other parents around the neighborhood, and now not all of them, because there are some that are kind of like old school like me. You know what I
right,
mean? They were raised like I think I was fortunate and you were too. Like you had like you said, you had your grandfather in the house. My
sure,
parents were much older. So I was raised by an older generation, not just people like my age. And that's just how business was done. Being taken to the ladies' room, getting your ass beat in a restaurant for acting up was like a normal occurrence in my house.
yes,
You know what I
dude.
mean?
Listen to this. This is going to be a funny story. This will bring a little levity. This will give you an idea of what would happen if you fucked around and found out in my house.
Mm.
All right. My mom took me out with her to go shopping, and we went to a place called Caldor. I don't know if you had them in the South.
I remember this story. I love it.
Okay. So uh she takes us to a place called Caldor, and I'm in there and I wanted something or whatever. I don't know. I wanted to leave and go home. Now, my mom was Christmas shopping. It was just around Christmas time. Now, this is up north. So it's kind of raining, sleeting, snowing out, right? And I remember because when we were walking up to the front of the Caldor, it was all slush and ice. We were walking through, our shoes got wet and shit. So we're leaving, and I want to go home, but she's got to do other things. I'm like, no, and I'm throwing a tantrum. And I turned around and I said something like to my mom. Now, granted, I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was probably somewhere in the realm of 9 or 10. And I turned around and I said something like, shut the fuck up, or I want to go the fuck home. Either way, I know it was the F word. Now, my mother, in that instant, turned into a fucking Jedi Knight. And she had an umbrella in her hand, one of those old school ones that were like that big. And you push a little thumb button and it
Yeah.
went zip,
Turned into a lightsaber.
turned into a lightsaber. And she still had the wrap around the end of it and it was buttoned. So it was not going to open up. It was going to stay solid.
Uh-huh.
And she drew the weapon, extended it, and brought it down all in one swift motion. And as she brought it down, the only thing I could think of to do was go, let me tell you how that worked out for me. Let somebody take a piece of rebar and fucking overhead swing it and crack you in the forearm with it one good time. I was on my knees in the slush going, oh, okay. I'll go wherever the fuck you want me to go. I'm so sorry.
Damn
She's
right.
standing over there taunting me with it. She's like, I'm going to get with it. Right? One time I ran from her. This is a true story. This is how dumb I was when I was a little kid. I learned really quick, though. In the first house I lived in, when you went up the stairs, right when you got to the top, you could go straight forward into a bedroom, or you could take a Louis and go into a bedroom, right? Both bedrooms led around to one bathroom that they shared, right? I'm running from my mom. She's chasing me with a leather belt because I'd done something, right? She grabbed that belt off the counter because my grandfather took it out and set it on the counter. And my mom was like, I got you. And she grabbed it. What she used to do is chase behind me and she would go pop, 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 popping a leather belt together, which would scare the shit out of me. But this time I was getting the belt, right?
Yep.
So I ran up those stairs like double fucking fast. And I hit the top and I'm like, she ain't going to catch me. I'm going to run this way. Well, I didn't think, hey, she's just going to come around the opposite way. So I dipped into her bedroom thinking I was going to run all the way around and come out the other way. And then I'd make it back down the stairs first. Well, I ran into her bedroom, and right about the time I got halfway through the fucking bathroom, Big Mama come around the corner with that belt right in my face, bro. And I was like, I turned around and I started running, man. My little sock feet. I was skating and a bobbing and a weaving, and I could hear, and it was that belt
Swinging.
And dude, I was like, you ever chase an animal that gets confused on where it's trying to escape, and then all of a sudden it runs into a corner, and when it hits the corner, it's like, poof, and it's like, fuck, I'm in a corner, right? You ever see the cat or something do that? That's what I
Yeah.
did. I got confused trying to get away from her. I had the lead. I mean, I was just out of arm's reach, but something went wrong with my homing pigeon like fucking. And I went bang right into the corner like a bird running into a window, dude. And as soon as I hit that corner, I turned around, I went like this, and then it just started.
Whap, 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 whap,
whap, whap, run away from me when I'm chasing for you. Dude, this is how funny my mom is. In that same house, I was running back and forth on the hallway floor in my socks sliding. She's like, don't do that. She's like, it's bad for you. It's bad for the floor. You're going to get hurt. Don't do that. It's not going to how am I going to get hurt? It's a highly polished wood floor. What do I know? I'm 7, right? 6, 7 years old.
Bust your ass.
Yeah, well, no, that's not what happened. See, I was wearing socks and I was running really fast and sliding on, stopping, and then running the other way and sliding and stopping. Well, when I came back the other way, the last time I came back and did it, my socks caught a fucking piece of wood and it peeled off a splinter about that long, as thick as a fucking pencil, right into the bottom of my foot. And it snapped off right away.
Nice.
And so I'm a little kid with this fucking like pencil sticking out of the bottom of my foot, and I am screaming bloody murder, and I'm trying to drag myself up the stairs. I don't know why. It's just, it was like the water's coming, get above it.
Seemed like the thing to do at the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What do I know, dude? I'm like 7. Nothing makes sense besides my foot's killing me. And so, anyways, my mom comes over and she's like, "What? I go, there's a splinter in my foot." She's like, "Holy mackerel!" And I'm going, "This is my mom." I'm going, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Because that's the only cuss word you know when you're 7. You know what I mean?
I had a few choice ones, but yeah.
She grabs my ankle and she looks me right in the eye and she goes, he can't help you now.
I love your mom. I love her.
Yeah. She's like, hey, he ain't gonna help you now. This is me and Splinter.